What is up, guys? This is the second video of the Golang e-commerce project series. We'll build the entire backend for an e-commerce cart system, and as you know, you can see my terminal. I don't waste any time. We have to start coding, right? So we'll create a new directory. We'll call it e-commerce YouTube project, or let's just call it YT. That's it. We don't have a very long name as well. So you want to cd into it. You want to say e-commerce YT. And you'd like to say go mod init and github.com/akhil/ecommerce YT. Okay. Yeah, spelling is correct. It has created a mod file. Hopefully, it has created a mod file for us. And now I'm going to open up the code window in VS Code, and you could be using anything else, doesn't matter, but VS Code is my preferred what do you call it code editor. All right, so in any Golang project, you know, we have to create the main.go file, right? And there will be many more folders. So what I'll do is I'll just create the folders right now so that we're done with the boring work, right? So let's create all the folders right now. So we'll have a controllers folder, we'll have a database folder, and there's one update to this project. So as you know, we'll be building on the knowledge that we have gained in our JW authentication series and the restaurant management series. There's a change here in this video. I mean, we have we're using MongoDB, all of that is same, but there's a change. We'll be using Docker. So we'll be using the MongoDB inside Docker, right? A lot of people, they put a comment on my video saying that why don't you use Docker more? I can use Docker all day long, and it doesn't make any difference to me. So here I'm using Docker, all right? And most of the more complicated videos, the microservices ones, I'll always use Docker there. So in case you want to see how it works with Docker and, you know, a little more advanced kind of stuff, do check out my microservices videos. I use a lot of Docker there, all right? But here I've just used it again just to, you know, just to make those people comfortable who ask me why haven't you used Docker and Docker Compose. So I'm just basically running the MongoDB inside the Docker container in this project rather than using the regular MongoDB, all right? Okay, so database is another folder, and then we'll have another folder called middleware. Then we'll have models. So these are the usual suspects, you know, usually the folders, if we use the same folders, you have to use routes, you can't do without routes. And then we'll have just one more folder for the tokens, just to get the tokens, token helpers and token generation and all that kind of stuff, right? Nothing new, you've already seen that kind of stuff before. So for the controllers, I'll have three files here. I'll have the address.go file, I'll have the cart.go file, and I'll have the controllers.go file. Okay. For database, I'll have just two files. I'll have my cart.go file for my database as well, and database setup.go. So everything to do with the setup of my database, I'm going to put it in the database setup.go file. Yeah, this looks good. Yeah, what I'm thinking basically do is this 2 times SE is 2 times, so just remove it once. So it's database setup. Okay, so you're just kind of saving space. I know it doesn't matter at all, but it just looks a little less confusing. Middlewares, you'll have a file called middleware.go. And for your routes, you'll just have a file called routes.go. And your models, you'll have a file called models.go. And for tokens, you'll have a file called tokengen.go. Then you have your Docker compose.yaml file. So I'll just keep it outside along with the main.go. Okay, let's do that. So here I'll have my docker compose.yaml file. Okay, cool. So the first thing that I usually like to start with, and that I'm going to start with, is my routes. Okay, so go ahead and open up your routes.go file. Let's close all the other files just to remove the clutter and to remove the confusion. Okay, and close up all these folders so that everything looks cleaner in your and you don't get confused. All right, so for routes, you know how it works, right? So whenever you have a particular file and you want to give it a particular package name, like let's say routes in this case, you want to have the folder called routes as well. So if the file is called routes and the package name is routes and it's in the routes folder, it just all makes sense to Golang, right? Golang knows that you're talking about the routes package, and it becomes very easy to import it into other packages or into the main file, wherever. And then you have your import. So what are you going to import? You're going to import your controllers. So for now, I'll just say, I'll just call this ecommerce/controllers. But I always like to give the entire address actually, right? So the address of our project is github.com blah 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 /ecommerce YT. So you can have that, and then you import the controls. This just makes more sense to me somehow. And then you want to get the gin package. So because this is obviously the routes file, right? So you want to have the gin package because that's what you are going to be working with. And here's your gin connect/gin. The function I want to have here is called user routes. Now there will be some user routes and there will be many more routes that will basically be with the product and cart and all those things, but the user routes are slightly different, so I'm just creating them first. The user routes are I'm going to say incoming routes, right? And I'm going to pass basically I'm passing incoming routes, which is of type gin.engine, and you're going to write incoming routes.post, right? Incoming routes.post again. I know I need 2 posts at least for sign up and login, so I'll say user/sign up, user/login. Both will always be post requests, your sign up and login. Then I want to have another one for post, and I'm going to call it the admin/add product. So I'll say admin/add product. Just remember to add a slash before admin, because we'll have our local host and then we'll have /admin/add product. Just make sure you add a slash before users as well in both the places. Then you want to write your get, which is going to be users / product view, and you're going to have your user search. Now, in many cases, I keep the search API as a post API because you build a query and then you send it to the backend. In this case, we don't have a very complex query going to the backend in any case, right? Like I said, I want to keep the platform simple, and in case people want to go ahead and want me to create a bigger platform, I can do that. But that we'll judge that at like the 9th or 10th video. We'll come to know that how many people are really interested in learning the bigger platform as well. But I usually keep what I'm trying to say here is that I usually keep the search API a post API, and I assume that the front end will create a big query and a very complicated query and then send it to the backend. But since we are keeping the platform simple and there's no front end, so the query is not going to be a lot. We're just going to search with the keywords, nothing very complicated. All right, so just keywords. There's no date filtering, and there's no filtering based on relevance or filtering based on date added and all of that stuff. So it's just keyword matching for the product. So it's going to be just get with some params that we'll pass from the postman. That's about it. So here you want to say controllers. So for all of these routes, you want to handle these routes somehow, right? So you want to handle them with controllers, and you'll have a function called sign up in your controller. When I'll create that function, it'll have a capital S and capital U. And similarly here as well, I want to have controllers.login. And for add product, I want to have controllers.product viewer admin here I want to have controllers dot search product. Now just remember, we don't have authorization in terms of having an admin and only the admin is able to add products. Right now we're just assuming that even though I'm calling it admin/add product, there's no authorization as such that the platform will stop any other user from adding a product. But ideally the admin should only be able to add products. That's why I'm keeping it in a function. Sorry, I'm feeling a little uneasy because I've eaten too much chocolate, so I'm not feeling really well. Anyhow, so product viewer admin, I'm just creating this function assuming that in the future we can add authorization if we wanted to, right? So, but as of now, we want to keep the platform simple. We won't have any authorization because authorization is a huge topic, right? So it will take a while to build it in case we want to build it. And it can always be done later on. We don't have to start with it. Sorry, here you want to have search product, and here you want to have source product by query. Make sense? So very simple file. You just have created the routes.co. And now I'm just thinking which other file should I show you, because I don't want to show you the controllers. It can get complicated. What we can do is we can work on main.go. I think we can work on main.go. And you know how the main file starts, right? You have your package main, you have your import, and you're going to import your controllers and database and all of those other things. So I'm going to copy this path here from the routes. I'm going to put it here. So I'm going to get my controllers, my database, and my middleware. And my routes. Today when I'm recording this video, it's Christmas Eve. And this is basically my plan on Christmas Eve. Just code out some project, and it's going to be fun. So this nice way you guys can come and hang out with me like this. I'll have some friends coming over after a while, but till then this is my plan of chilling out. These days I also build some projects with for Web 3.0 and blockchain. I'll be showing you how to do those very soon. And I hope you've been watching my Web 3.0 blockchain, all those videos which I keep putting online these days, because you'll need them once I start showing you those videos. Okay, so here the main.go file obviously will have its own func main. It will have its own main function. And the first thing that you want to think about when you think about the func main is the port on which the program will run. So func main, the main job of func main is going to be to start the server, ideally, right? So you want to define your port, and you want to say os.get environment port. And you also want to check if port is empty, then you want to give it a default port. You're going to give it 8000. Okay. And I want to create a variable called app. With the help of app is where I want to handle all the other routes. So I'm going to say controllers dot new application and database dot. So I'm going to tell it that my product data is in database dot client, comma, product. And I'll also give it my users data also. So firstly I'll say products, and then I want to say database dot user data. And where do we get the user data from? So you use your database client, which is basically the client is basically something that helps you interface with the database, and you're going to tell it that I want to tap into the collection which is users. So product data get from products collection, and users data get from users collection. You have with MongoDB, in case you have not used MongoDB, so I'm just giving you a little primer. MongoDB has these different collections like products and users, and then which are basically in an SQL kind of a setup. They will be tables. So you'll have a products table and a users table. So you're just telling it where do you want to get. You want to get the product data from products table or collection in case of MongoDB, or for users, you want to get from users collection or table. Right. It's the same thing. Now I want to create the router. So to create the router, I'll have gin.new. Okay. Now, in case you don't know what this new function does, you want to head over to gin documentation for gin connect/gin, and you'll understand basically creates a new router for you. In case you don't know, I'll suggest you go and take a look at the documentation. So whatever I teach you, basically, I also recommend that you always go and take a look at the documentation, because that's where I get my code from, right? I don't invent all this on my own. I don't invent this. I just basically, this I got from the OS package. I got this from the OS package. This I got from, I'm not sure where I got it from, but I got it from somewhere. And this definitely I saw the Gin package, and I'm getting it from the Gin library, right? So all the code that you see me write is I'm getting it directly from the documentation of the packages and libraries. I'm not inventing any of this on my own, all right? So I want you to do that. So I want you to get in the habit of being able to write your own code and invent your own stuff. But by inventing, I mean going to the documentation and just picking up that stuff easily. So what you want to do is you want to say routes dot user routes, and you're going to pass the router. And similarly, you want to use middleware also. So you want to say router dot use middleware dot authentication. So there will be some routes on which you want to use authentication, right? And that's what we'll define in our middleware file with the authentication function. Okay. So now you want to define some more routes here. I want to define router.get /add to cart. Now we're defining routes separately, right? These are the routes for our user routes, and these are the other routes apart from our user routes, which are like add to cart. So it'll be basically an add to cart function. Then you want to have your router.get. So sorry, get is always capital, right? Get is always capital. Get, post, and all these. So here you'll have router.get, remove item from cart, app dot remove item. And then you're gonna have cart checkout. So you say router dot get and router dot get. So I have cart checkout and instant by. I'll create these two functions slash cart checkout comma app dot buy from cart instant by comma app dot instant by. Okay. Here you have log.fatal. If anything goes wrong, I want to say, yeah. So I want to run something here inside, but if anything goes wrong, we'll have log.fatal. But what I want to run is the server basically. So we'll set router.run plus the port. So I'll run the server on this port 8000 or whatever port you pass here. If there's no port, it'll give the default port as 8000. Quite a bit, don't you think? That's quite a bit. And so your routes are done, your main.go file is done, your project setup is kind of done, all the folders and files are done. So I would like to continue this in the next video. Right, so I have to be somewhere. I have friends coming over in a while. So what I'll do is I'll continue this in the next video, and I hope you're learning a lot here, and I'll keep coming up with more and more interesting and more complicated products and projects soon. So keep watching, do subscribe, do share it with your friends and people you want to learn from this generally. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.